man, you know, this is a pretty good show. You know, I thoroughly enjoy watching this. Let's make the vital mistake of looking into this on social media in any capacity and what the fan base has to say. Oh, this is all shippers, completely missing the point of the media in question. Remind me to never do this again. Hey everybody, welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of Internet Idiocracy, the show where we make fun of all of the insert synonym for stupid here things from all corners of the internet and then disappear for 5 months. Did not intend for that. I'm your host, MattCMG, the king of bad lighting, and today I'm gonna try something new out for the series today. I present to you the first Internet Idiocracy Variety Hour, where instead of going into one big topic like we usually do, we take a look at a few smaller ones that just didn't have enough substance to be their own video, so kind of just a mix and match of just different random things that I wanted to talk about in the series, but just didn't have enough substance to, like, you know, fully talk about. Sorry if the lighting looks a little bit yellow today. I'll try to correct it in post, but if I didn't have this old lamp on to light me, I would look like anonymous. Like, I would look like it was a 4chaner. I'd like to segue into today's first topic by introducing you all to some of my music tastes. This is relevant, I swear. Right here, you're seeing it on screen right now. It's my personal Spotify playlist. You might have heard it on my live streams because I play it on I used to play it on the Minecraft streams. But as you can clearly see, a decent chunk of it is Eminem songs. He's my favorite, probably my favorite rapper, and he's a lot of people's favorite musical artist. He certainly deserves a lot of the praise he gets, both from the normies and the rap community as a whole. There's a reason he's one of the most successful rap artists of all time. He's a really popular artist. Understandable. Probably one of the most normie artists you can listen to, but he's popular nonetheless. One of his most popular songs is called Stan, which if you haven't heard it for some reason, it's about a crazed Eminem fan who's so obsessed with him to the point where, his entire life is just consumed by his music, so much so that he murders his pregnant wife and himself, as one does. The term stan is used to describe any fan of any given famous person who is obsessed with that person to a fault. It used to be considered a very negative term, especially given its origin, but in recent years it's become like this buzzword and it's turned into like a little cute, quirky thing you can call yourself when you're an obsessive fan of a particular artist or actor. And if that's not indicative of the de-evolution of society, then quite frankly, I don't know what is. Now, obviously, it's okay to be a fan of somebody's work. Art is obviously made to inspire us and make us feel real emotions. Whether that be from, musicians, actors, game developers, YouTubers, or what have you. The aim is exactly that. I personally am very, emotionally driven by pretty much everything I'm into. So basically, music and TV and games, you got your hype songs and your hype shows like Dragon Ball Z that get me just hyped. I'm like, yeah! Yeah! And of course, there's the sad stuff every now and again, that pulls on the heartstrings a little bit, some... That's how crying sounds, apparently. Alright. And comedically, and in terms of my YouTube content, I'm very inspired by YouTubers like JonTron, the Sleepy Cast guys, Rebel Taxi, the Black Hokage, and if it wasn't obvious enough based on my setup here, Chris Raygun. I swear, I did not plan my setup to look like his. It's been this way it's always been like this. I never planned for this. I'm not ripping you off, Chris Raygun, even though I'm, clearly ripping you off. The point is, everybody has people whose work and whose art that they admire. It's been this way since, the fucking Italian Renaissance. Some wench comes up to Da Vinci and goes, "Hey, I like the Mona Lisa, let me give you a sock." But in this internet age of people with way too much time on their hands and not a whole lot to do with it, what better way to pass the time than by obsessing over people you will literally never meet in your entire life. I tend not to agree with my family on many things, but if it's one thing that we can all agree on, it's that this intense infatuation that regular people have with celebrities is pointless. Obviously, there's some real psychological stuff behind these types of people. They want to live vicariously through their favorite celebrities and get a glimpse of a life that they know that they can never have. That's like 95% of the appeal of the Kardashians. The other 5% being people who just want to see what Kanye's up to between Twitter rants and albums that are never coming out. Where is good ass job, Kanye? It's been like 16 years, Kanye! Where's the album, Kanye? I've talked about rappers way more than I thought I would have in this video, to be quite honest with you. Enough of this introductory garbage. Alright, let's just get into the real nitty-gritty here. Let's talk about the Stans TM, not to be confused with the aforementioned Stans. These neo Stans, the Stans TM, if you will, are much like the Stan depicted in Eminem's music video. They're obsessed with a particular person to where it takes over their life and they lack the self-awareness to realize that this is happening. The difference between the two is that Stans, by the old definition, were looked down upon and seen as people who needed help, because, you know, it's not healthy for anyone to obsess over a person they don't even know. That's a psychological issue. You need to get help for that. But while by the modern definition, being a stan is seen as like a quirk, you know, it's a cute hobby, and if you're especially uninteresting, a personality trait. If anyone who unironically stans somebody is watching this video, let me just tell you, and I can't believe this has to be said, but we live in this kind of society now. Liking a celebrity is not a personality trait. It's f***ing creepy. Stop it. Every time I see one of those "We Stan Ariana Grande" or tweets or accounts, you know, insert celebrity here or whatever, it makes me want to slit my wrists, and we're talking long ways for results. Like, if you're gonna make an Ariana Grande fan account, you know, that's fine, but just be objective about it. I see so many fan accounts with no actual substance, no news, no interesting facts, no exclusive information, no memes. It's just like they post pictures of the celebrity in question with like heart eye emojis or something, or perhaps a generic white girl caption probably involving the words queen or slay. Not only is this incredibly creepy because of the implication that these people are just like sitting around downloading photos of a person they don't even know, but it also promotes like blindly following somebody, not because you genuinely enjoy what they do, but rather because of their public perception and or physical attractiveness. And I'd be remiss to not mention the worst stans TM of them all, the K-pop stans. Here's an experiment for you guys to try at home. You know, here's a new segment on the show, Matt's experiments you can try at home, but probably shouldn't. I don't know. Here's an experiment for y'all to try, alright? Go on Twitter and just make an abysmal K-pop joke. You know, something like K-pop, more like K-poop, am I right? Or, you know, something harmless like that, and, you know, it doesn't even have to be a good joke. It could be the worst joke ever, but just any joke involving K-pop, and just wait for the K-pop stans to raid your mentions. You'll get responses like this, and this. It's hilarious. These people take their Korean boy bands way too seriously, and they don't even understand what they're saying in their songs.
I wanna shooting in America street.
I'm not sure how many more different ways I can really say this, but being a stan of anybody is bizarre, and it's not something that should be normalized in this capacity, or in any capacity for that matter. It's creepy. Cease this immediately. Unless, of course, you're standing me, that is, in which case, I see you. Hit me up. Next topic! The next thing I wanted to talk about today is something that I hinted at in my recent Legend of Korra video for Avatar Month, and those are these, like, you know, feature film length, insanely exaggerated reviews of shows, movies, games, etc. If you've seen my Avatar videos, then chances are you've seen or at least been recommended a video titled The Legend of Korra is Garbage and Here's Why, and that video pretty much encapsulates exactly what I'm talking about. Sensationalized and overly aggressive title? Check. Reviewer is a complete cynic and says absolutely nothing positive? Check. Reviewer nitpicks every little detail whilst also providing very little genuine criticism? Check. Reviewer makes bold statements and then doesn't elaborate on them? Check. This goes on for almost 2 hours? Check. It's all here, ladies and gentlemen. Videos like these are a perfect example of everybody's a critic, but not everybody's qualified to criticize, and I'll explain what I mean by that. The internet has allowed everybody to have a voice now. You know, we're all able to voice our opinions, you know, as we all should, but with that comes the inevitability that people are gonna voice their opinions on things that they really don't understand. In this particular instance, you know, it's fine if the reviewer in question didn't like The Legend of Korra. That's fine, and I'm sure there are people who agree, but if you make a bold statement like that the show, you know, is absolute garbage, then you better be able to back it up with, you know, specific examples and evidence. Like, as another example, if you thought The Last Jedi was a complete cinematic failure, then you better be able to prove how it fails in cinematography, in production, in writing, in directing, in acting, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a competent enough film that had a few bad elements. Like, really bad elements. It's not a great film, but it's certainly no Birdemic, and to say that it's a complete failure is an exaggeration to the highest degree. And I didn't even care for The Last Jedi, because obviously, Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie, so why even bother making anything else? Ah! Anyways, my point is that it's fine to dislike things and make negative reviews of things, so long as you can prove your point rationally. But if it comes down to, this thing sucks without any elaboration, then what reason do I have to take you seriously? I think the worst parts of these kinds of videos are that even when there are very valid points, the reviewer will often make them out to be like the worst thing ever for the sake of comedy or entertainment value, therefore perpetuating this hyperbolic narrative that this movie is the worst thing to disgrace cinema, when in reality it's like a minor issue that could be easily overlooked by the average viewer. Cough, cough, a nostalgia critic. Cough, cough. This brings me back to my thesis statement, if you will. You know, everybody's a critic, but not everybody is qualified to criticize. If you are unwilling to look past minor flaws in a piece of media, which every piece of media has, there's no such thing as perfect perfect. There's no such thing as flawless. If you use those flaws to point out how this is the worst thing you've ever seen for, you know, the 17th video in a row, then I'm sorry, but you're a bad reviewer. If a movie has 5 great things about it and 2 slightly bad things, then you can't use the bad things to call the film a travesty when the good very clearly outweighs the bad. Obviously, it's different in each circumstance, but you get the point. You get what I'm saying. My main issue with these types of videos is that the reviewer will mildly dislike a movie. You know, they didn't hate it, but they didn't really like it either. But then in their review, they will purposefully overblow their own opinions and make bold, hyperbolic, you know, titles and statements for views, which, hey, I don't blame you. I've done the same thing. You know, every YouTuber does that. But when that video blows up, more and more people take this extreme hyperbolic opinion and hold it as their own because they aren't intelligent enough to differentiate between jokes and genuine film analysis, or that they just held the most recent opinion they heard, and then that spirals into this extreme opinion becoming commonplace, and everyone becomes a mouth-breathing idiot spewing off points from a video that by a reviewer who didn't even hate the movie they were talking about. We've seen this with The Legend of Korra, we've seen it with the past few Star Wars movies, with Rick and Morty, with Anthem, and a ton of other movies, shows, and games. My advice to these reviewers, coming from some guy who doesn't really review things that often, but I half know what I'm talking about. Know what kind of influence you hold to your audience. You know, it's fine to voice your opinions, positive or negative, but also know that when you exaggerate for the sake of entertainment value, that you're also influencing a lot of people who don't know any better and will take your ideas as fact and gospel and then will run with them. My advice to the average viewer, if you're watching these reviews and trying to form your own opinion, use your brain. You dummy. Don't just accept the most recent or the loudest opinion you've heard. Watch the thing for yourself and make your own opinion, and then see if the reviews or the video essays or whatever can sway you. Either way. These types of videos have proven to me that the concept of a gray area has been completely lost in the general public. You can't kinda like or kinda dislike anything anymore. You either have to like it completely or hate it blindly, and the other side is gonna think you're an idiot regardless. That's dumb. Those are dumb brain thoughts. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with my boys Nuance and Moderation over here in big brain land, forming educated opinions and respecting those with sensible opposition. Hooligans, all of you! And to close out today's video, the last topic I wanted to talk about today was the current state of discourse and discussion on the internet, especially in today's climate. The internet is where genuine discussion and debate goes to die, and nobody's changing anybody else's mind anymore. Let's start with an example, alright? I could say something completely innocuous, like, I like the color purple, right? Nothing wrong with that. So, you know, it's a completely, perfectly reasonable statement. But you'll get responses like, oh, you like purple? That must mean you hate orange. Like, you can say one thing, and then people will immediately assume that you're against the opposite. You can like purple and orange, you just like one more than the other. This seems like it's common sense when I'm describing it like a 5-year-old, but apply this to more complex things like the aforementioned TV reviews or, God forbid, politics, and it'll make you want to die. You know, quite frankly, I like breathing oxygen. Oh, you like breathing oxygen? Well, then I guess you must hate nitrogen then. You know what? I hate breathing oxygen now. I just want to stop breathing altogether. Kill me. Common debates have gotten abysmally worse since the invention of the internet because it allows people with no debating skills to debate and discuss things that they have zero qualifications to talk about, leading to some of the most mind-numbing comments I've ever seen. We've got people out here literally just disregarding facts that they don't like. Like, for instance, my Ash Ketchum video, pretty successful video, you know, got a lot of traction. I've seen people in the comments of that video who will try to debunk me using the same arguments that I debunked in the video, or people who have genuine questions to better understand an opposing perspective will then disregard the factual response to fit the narrative that they want to believe. Moral of the story, I guess, is that we're all humans, and humans are f***ing stubborn. We don't like having our minds changed, and we don't like being wrong, but the internet has allowed and in fact rewarded people for being genuinely false or for having misinformed opinions. Nobody actually wants to be persuaded from any ideology they didn't initially agree with. You know, I say purple is cool, you say it's orange, but no amount of debate is gonna change our minds either way. Next time you debate somebody in a Twitter thread or in a YouTube comment section or whatever, just keep in mind that they don't actually care about what you think, and they just want to disprove you by any means necessary to make themselves feel superior. But joke's on all of you, because I'm the only one here who's truly intellectually superior. You know, you can put that on my tombstone. Well, everybody, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this variety format for Internet Idiocracy. You know, I'm trying something new to make these episodes a little more frequent, because this is probably the most fun I've had with the series in a while, just, you know, in general. So if you also enjoyed this format for today's video and want to see more Internet Idiocracy episodes like these, then do me a favor and smash that like button. Leave a comment telling me what you think. Then if you're new here, you know, hit that sub button and maybe that bell icon for notifications. You know what I'm saying? just a baby. I don't know how to end videos, so I've been MattCMG. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.